In this video, we're going to go through and set up and configure GenyMotion. This is for Windows, so if you're running a Mac, check out the Mac version, separate video where I show you how to do it for a Mac. So the GenyMotion software is an emulator, much like we've seen in the course previously. It doesn't need Hexam, it's separate and it's much faster. So I'm going to walk you through how to download it, install it and configure it. So let's get into that video. Okay, now I just copied this part of the video from the Mac version of the video because I did that one first, just to show you the registration of the accounts to avoid me having to sort of create two accounts. So let's get into that and then we'll go back into the Windows component. Okay, so GenyMotion.com is the website you want to go to. We need to download the software. So I'm going to sign up and create a new account. So I'm going to enter my details. Okay, and I'll say yes to both of those. I'm quite happy for them to send me information. Select the value. I'm going to select personal use, and I'm going to be doing this obviously for training. Now, they do have a paid version, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, and I do suggest if you're a professional developer, you should be paying some money for this tool and using it, but it is free for personal use. Okay, so I'm going to sign up. I'm not going to save any passwords. And I'll then send an email, which I should see in my email account shortly. I now need to activate that. And I need to click on to activate it. Okay, at that point, I'm now logged in and I can now download GenyMotion. I'm going to start this download straight away. Windows 32 64-bit. I'll save that. Now, the good thing about this version is that it will only need one package to get working. If you're running a Mac, you'd have to install the VirtualBox software from Oracle first, and then install this sort of GenyMotion over the top of that. But in this case, it's a lot easier because it installs it all in the one hit. So while that's downloading, I'm just going to have a look at the user guide. And it gives you a bit of an outline on what to do. Gives you a list of the minimum requirements in terms of hardware and so forth. And Windows, it sort of says there, it's already in setup, and we'll get to that later and have a look at it. All right, I'm just going to pause this till it's just about done. Okay, we're back. Just about finished now, the download. Once it's finished, we're just going to open it as we would a normal executable and let it install. Okay, that's done. Open, run. Yes. I'm going to select the defaults for pretty well everything here. Okay, let it install. You'll probably find this is the second part of the installation. It's the GenyMotion and the VirtualBox. The end installer should go through and do both of those for you. Okay, so we'll do a next. Now, they wanted to make sure that networking was enabled. So I think if I just select entire feature, I think we're good to go. That should be okay. So click on next, next, proceed, yes, install, yes. So that's now installing the VirtualBox software, and that's sort of the technology that runs in the background to enable the emulator to work that GenyMotion uses. Sort of a little bit like Parallels or VMware or something like that, if you're familiar with those. Okay, device drivers, yes, we want to install those. And we'll put always trust just to save a bit of time if there's more than one. Because it's a virtual sort of machine, it needs access to network drives and those types of things, so that's why it's installing drivers. Okay, and I'm back, and it seems to have installed correctly. Finish. And we can click on finish, and let's install, let's start GenyMotion. And there it is starting in the background, in the foreground. Now, one thing you don't need to do with this Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, you don't need to go back into it. First time I set this up, I thought I might have had to set up a virtual machine or do something, within this interface. While GenyMotion's loading, I thought I might have had to do something in here, but literally you can close that down, and you don't need to use it anymore. So all your configuration will be done within GenyMotion once it decides to start. Okay, it started. Now, do you want any virtual devices? Well, obviously we want to do that. We want to create a new one, so we'll click on yes. Now sign in to get access to all the devices. So that's your same username and password that you set up when you signed up with GenyMotion. Once we do that, we should get a list of all the devices that they currently support. Now you'll notice looking down the list here, there's quite a few, but there's no API 21s. And that's because as of the time I'm recording this video, they haven't officially added the Android Lollipop API 21. But this will happen in time, and this gets automatically updated. So as you go into GenyMotion from time to time, you'll find that they will release a new version, a new virtual device, which will support API 21. Now I did some research and checked their Twitter stream, and on the 5th of November they were testing the Android Lollipop, and they had it booting, but they had a few issues to sort out. So it's now 7 days after that, so I would say they're very close to releasing that. So for now what we're going to do is we're just going to select Google Nexus 444, which is the latest version of KitKat API 19, and we're going to run with that. Click on next. Now you'll notice by default it's got quite a bit of hefty amount of memory. It's allocating 2 gigabytes of RAM and also 8 gigabytes of hard drive capacity. You can change these after. So what we'll do is we'll set it up first, and I'll show you how to go about changing that. And you can see here what's happening is it's downloading the image from their website. It does that once for each sort of different type of image that you create. And if you're creating multiple emulators from this point on, it doesn't download it again. So it's pretty quick from that point of view. So this is a once-only process per device, effectively. Okay, we'll just wait till it finishes setting up. Just about done by the looks. Okay, so you can see that we've finished now. So we've now got our device, our Google Nexus device, but at the moment we probably want to change that RAM configuration, because if you recall it was 2 gigabytes, and that will of course depend on the amount of memory you've got available, but I'm going to take this down to 768. So certainly if you've got like 4 gigabytes or less of RAM, you'd want to take this down quite a bit, and you might have to sort of experiment a few times to get the right value. I'm going to go with 768. Okay. So at that point we're good to go. I can just click on start. And that will then boot the device, and you'll see an Android virtual device similar in look and feel to how the other ones work, which we've seen earlier in the course. But firstly, it should boot a lot faster. And for me, I found it was a lot prettier. The graphics and so forth were a lot clearer, and the resolution was a lot better as well. So I'll just let that finish off booting. Now, I didn't edit the video at all there, and it's already booted. So that was the real time that you saw. So that's significantly faster, and I'm not sure whether you're seeing this look in the video, but to me this is a lot nicer. And it seems to be a lot smoother to scroll and so forth, to swipe I should say, and the graphics seem to be sort of a lot brighter. And everything just seems to work. I can just go into a browser on there and it works. Obviously it's connected, and it's quite nice. And there's all these buttons on the side here in terms of to power off and to sort of go back to the menu and control sound and rotate it and stuff. I'll leave that for you to go through because you don't really need to know that at the moment. But it performs essentially like a standard emulator. So let's just go in now and test this. We'll test one of our apps. We're going to load both Eclipse and Android Studio and try it out. So we're going to go into Eclipse first. Go into my desktop and load Eclipse and run it. Okay, on this machine I haven't got a default package, so I'm just going to quickly create an Android application program, which will be our Hello World. I'm going to accept 4.4. Actually, I'll go back to Jelly Bean like I've been doing throughout the course, and we're just going to do the preview L, and I'm going to select next. I'm not going to bother with a custom icon. We're just going to get a very basic application up and going just so we can show you how it works in Eclipse. Okay, so it looks like we've got a very basic app going. So if I run that now, I haven't got my physical device connected, so it should just find the emulator automatically. I'll run it. No, it's not happy. I'll go into here and run it. There we go, that's better. Android application. Click OK. It should be launching, and behind the browser we should see it start. Oh, there it is. It's there. It is going to come up and prompt me, which is good. GenyMotion Google Nexus, that's the device we created. Click OK. And we should see our app, and I'll just go back. And our app's working quite nicely. So that's working fine under Eclipse, as you can see. And I'll just click OK to that, and we'll close down Eclipse, and we'll just do it in Android Studio to show that's working there as well. So Android Studio, I'm going to go back to desktop again. Android Studio, bin, Studio 64. I'm going to run that. This machine is certainly slower than my normal sort of production machine. I don't use it very often, especially under Windows. So if you're wondering why it's slow, that's the reason. It's got less RAM than some of my other machines. Incidentally, if you can do it, if you've only got 4 gigabytes of RAM, do consider going up to 8 gig. You'll find it'll make a big difference. Because Android applications, even though they are great and free, they do seem to consume a lot of RAM. So if you've got that option, it's certainly worthwhile. Okay, this one we're going to do the same thing. Again, it's the same Hello World project. I'm going to run that. You can see it's running down here, Gradle executing tasks. Okay, it's asking and saying, do you want to run it on this device? Emulator, yes. Initializing, and you can see behind the screen again, we've got it running on the emulator. So there you go, that's it working quite nicely. The GenyMotion, I suggest you give it a go. It's quite a nice tool. And just another thing I want to say is closing it down. And what I suggest you do first is close down Eclipse or Android Studio, whatever you're using. Now to close it down, I originally was trying the power off button. Oops, I didn't hold down it long enough. I need to just go in there again. So holding that down until that menu came on. I was trying that and I found that it wouldn't shut down properly, but that apparently is a common bug. And all you need to do to shut it down literally is just press the close button in the top right hand corner. It seems to be fine, and I've done that on multiple occasions and gone back into it again and booted it. We go back into GenyMotion and it seems to have worked fine. And that was also the supported, sort of configured or the right way to go about it according to the GenyMotion people. So, but make sure you shut down your IDE, Eclipse or Android Studio first before you close it down like I've done. And as you can see, it's booting up again now and seems to be starting fine. So me shutting it down like that hasn't caused any problems with it. I can go into it as per normal. So I'll close it again. Okay, one last thing. I also copied this bit of the video from the Mac video. I just want to go over and show you or discuss the GenyMotion pricing, which they've got. There's a free option, but there's also a paid option. I just want to go through and show you both of those. So let's get into that. Just quickly, I wanted to go back to their web page and go to pricing. I just want to explain the model. So we've got a free for non-commercial use version, which has got those features. But you've also got, if you do spend some money and buy the indie version, pixel perfect. Each pixel is displayed using exactly 1 pixel of your monitor. So that's really just going to make your applications that much more realistic, I suppose. And you've got all sorts of other functionality where you can sort of clone and reset different devices. So a quick way to be testing on lots of different devices, and record videos of your app and those types of things. So there is good reasons to do it. The price ends up at 99 euros, which I think is about $136, which isn't bad, for an indie developer. I think it would be worth it if, say you didn't have an Android device and you were, you're doing this for money. This is your income. I think it's a good investment to reward the GenyMotion people for a great product. But you can get started on the free version, and I suggest you do that just to try it out, and hopefully it goes well for you. Okay, I'll leave the video there for now.